This video is going to cover how you write a counterargument with a rebuttal. So we have to start with first, why is the counterargument so important? And it's important because when you acknowledge the counterclaim and then you refute or you provide a rebuttal against the counterclaim, it strengthens your own argument. And you want the strongest argument possible when writing an argumentative piece. So I have several tips for you for writing your counterargument with a rebuttal. First, you need to know your audience. Who are you trying to convince? Second, think how somebody with the opposing viewpoint might respond to your argument. Then, third, find specific evidence to respond to those views. Fourth, you put it all together. And then fifth, you add transitions to show the relationship between your argument and the counter argument. So what does that look like? What does that look like when we put it all together? Well, let's take a look at an example. If our claim is there should be seatbelts on school buses, the counterclaim could be that some claim that buses are already safe, so belts are unnecessary. So your first thing you need to do is know your audience. Who are you trying to convince? Well, in this case, you're trying to convince parents, students, and school personnel. Then you need to think about how might someone with an opposing viewpoint respond to your argument. So they might respond with the fact that the cost of adding seatbelts to buses is not worth the minimal increase in safety they would provide. Then you think about specific evidence that you could use that strengthens your side and either disproves or weakens their side. So some evidence that would help for this claim that there should be belts on buses that would help refute or rebuttal that buses are already safe, so belts are unnecessary, is that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is recommending seatbelts for school buses. Now we need to put it all together. So parents, students, and school personnel, that's who we're talking to, may say the cost of adding seatbelts to buses is not worth it because the increase in safety is minimal and buses are already safe. So that's what the opposing viewpoint would say. Here's my evidence. The NHTSA is recommending seatbelts for school buses. Now, as is, that kind of doesn't make sense because now we need to add in transitions to show the relationship between our argument and their counter argument. So when I add in transitions, this would be my final counterclaim with rebuttal. Some parents, students, and school personnel may say the cost of adding belts to buses is not worth it because the increase in safety is minimal and buses are already safe. However, the NHTSA, whose sole job is to study and create regulations and recommendations for safe travel, is recommending seatbelts for school buses. So you can see how adding in those transitional words and phrases shows the relationship between my argument and their counter argument, and it makes my argument stronger and it weakens theirs. So as you go to write your own rebuttals against your counterclaim, make sure that you use those tips for writing a counterargument. So let's review those. 1, know your audience. Who are you trying to convince? 2, think how might someone with an opposing viewpoint respond to your argument? 3, find specific evidence to refute and respond to those views. 4, put it all together. And then 5, add in those transitions that show the relationship between your argument and the counter argument. If you follow those 5 tips, you will have fantastic rebuttals in your argumentative writing.